and welcome to another episode of What's the Point, the podcast that will help you find the meaning and fulfillment for your life through conversations with exceptional leaders. And I am honestly thrilled to be joined from across the pond with the fabulous Dee Allen. Now, I'm just going to give you a little bit of context into how Dee and I got to know each other. And we were brought on board by Estee Lauder to work on a strengths project together. And Dee and I have since formed a phenomenal relationship. Dee, I'm so grateful to you for that. And just a little bit of background. So Dee and I will work together on everything from confidential case studies in our own practices and indeed our personal health issues as well. So we've formed such a strong, trusted, safe and brilliant bond over the years with thanks to Estee Lauder. And Dee is far too humble to admit this, but Dee's background is actually military, and she was the highest ranking enlisted female in the American Navy. But Dee, please do, welcome first, and please do a better job of introducing yourself than I will. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you, Dani. I'm so happy to be on your podcast. I've been excited all week to join you. I always look forward when we get the opportunity to connect. So being able to be on your podcast and highlight all the great things that you do is exciting for me. You did a great job talking about my background. I do have a background in the military. I served in the United States Navy for 33 years, and when I retired, people always asked me, oh my God, you served for so long. Why did you stay? And I thought it was very important to really talk about, when I was coming up through the ranks, when I looked up at leadership, I didn't have the opportunity to always see someone that looked like me, a female or maybe a minority female. So I thought it was important not only to be a role model for those young women coming up behind me, but also an advocate. And that's what I tried to do, during my time in the military, was to be an advocate, to make sure that those young ladies coming behind me maybe had a smoother transition as they wanted to fulfill the goals and dreams that they have while serving in uniform.
Dee, phenomenal. And I have been delighted to get to know you as a human, whatever you, but a human. And, as you grow your business and, develop in the amazing people that you get to work with these days. And, you as how you support me too in what I'm doing. So I'm just so grateful for everything that you are. And I know that anything that we talk about, one is trusted, but also you're the kind of person, I just want to raise you up in this, that if you say you'll do something with me, for me, you'll do it, Dee. You'll always back it up with action. So I'm just so grateful to you. Now, as we spoke about when we were setting this up, you and I never go to surface. We always get to the heartbeat of matters. So let's jump straight in. And Dee, what would you say is the point of your life?
After I got your book and I was like, this is typical Dani, going right for the jugular. That's such a hard question, and I think we as coaches, we do such a great job, like focusing on everybody else. Sometimes we don't focus enough on ourselves. So I'm going to pivot just a little bit, Dani. So give me a little leeway. If I was working with a client, I think what I would do is really encourage them to think about, their journey of self-discovery. And I think it's just really a good way to really just start focusing, on your core values, those passions that you have, and maybe even like your personal mission. So I think that's a true way to really understand your why in life, so, now focusing on me, I think I will have to do the same thing. My point in life is about self-discovery. And I think everybody has to ask themselves sometime in their lives, what's the point of your life? And I think, I'm the type of person who really loves focusing on reflection and exploring, all of the things in my life, whether it's feelings, beliefs, my emotions, my experiences. And I think, self-discovery is such a powerful tool, especially when we start looking at making those informed decisions to have such a fulfilled life. So, telling my clients, yes, let's talk about self discovery. I also have to tell myself self discovery is absolutely the point in my life.
What, Dee, thank you. And I just want to ask you something, just because sometimes I work in very male in environments. I just want to stretch this question or thinking with you, if you don't mind. So coming from a military background and self-discovery, talking about feelings, emotions, values, etc., behaviors, etc. And I make no bones about it. I still these days work in very male dominated environments, and often that is put in a box and it's not important and not valued. What would you say about that, Dee?
Absolutely. The military in the US is male dominant. And there was a lot of times that I found myself, being as senior as I was, being the only woman at the table. And I think, when I first started climbing the ranks, it was a lot different. I wasn't embraced as much, but, the longer I stayed in and the military started shifting its mindset about diversity, inclusiveness. And I think that was very important. So I think it was a little bit more embracive. Don't get me wrong. I think every organization has to continue to improve upon those type of diversity issues, not just diversity and inclusion, but also belonging. I think that piece is so important. And I will share with you, if we really want to get, personal, I saw the diversity. I often saw the inclusion, but I think what I really lacked a lot was the belonging piece. There were so many times I felt like no one made me feel like I belonged. So I think that was one of the other reasons I decided to stay in the military as long as I did, to make sure not just women, not just people of color, but everybody felt like they belonged at the table.
Wonderful, Dee. Wonderful response. Wonderful. And I think that really is the heartbeat of us humans, is to know that we belong, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
wonderful. And Dee, with understanding that you're across the pond over in the States, but at the moment, what trends and issues are you seeing within people, either in work or indeed in daily life?
I think I want to talk about shift. COVID was such a big piece of coaching. I think I will have to say that coaching exploded, when COVID came around. It was just a way, if some people go, well, I need this in my life as a professional. Right now, I think I deal with a lot of, just trying to be resilient. You got so many different things that's happening, as we start to move out of COVID, going from that remote work environment. Some organizations are doing hybrid. And now you have some organizations that are coming back full time, and leaders are struggling, being resilient themselves, but also, leading when those people are so used to working remotely and now they're being told, yes, you have to come back into the office. So, I think dealing with the resiliency piece and maybe the stress management piece, and just really helping leaders and managers figure out that piece, I think is one of the things that I am seeing a lot with my clients.
Yeah, stress management is absolutely huge, and I remember this time last year, actually I spoke to the head of learning and development for an American law firm, and I said, what do you see as the biggest leadership concern for the next year? And I remember him saying this, and maybe it is a little bit simplistic, and he just went, it's leadership. it's leadership, leaders leading. So I love when you're saying stress management and resiliency, but we know the stronger the leader, the better the leader. So I thought his answer was very, very simplistic, but actually when I really thought about it and broke it down, I thought, yeah, that is it. You know, following COVID and what we've all been through, it's definitely stronger leaders. But I love you pinpointing it to stress management and resilience, Dee. There is so much need for that at the moment, isn't there? So much.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Dee. And then for you personally, I mean, I know you and adore you, but personally, what strong steps do you have? Because coaching people, taking on all sorts of issues, behaviors, circumstances, conflicts, etc., you need your resiliency, you need to manage your stress, and you certainly need your strength in amongst it all. So what strong habits do you have for yourself?
I will tell you, I am so good at helping others. I need to work on myself. But, just recently, I realized that I need to set boundaries for myself. And I just think that implementing those boundaries really helps with stress. We just talked about that a little bit. And, sometimes, one of my things that I have an issue with is saying no. If someone asks me to do something, I'm going, absolutely, I got this. Yes, we can do this, and I feel guilty when I tell people no, but I've come to realize that, I continue to say yes, I'm going to be overwhelmed with myself. And there are things that I want to do for myself. If I keep doing for other people, I'm not going to have the opportunity to get to some of those things that I want to do. So yeah, setting those boundaries, not just setting the boundaries, but actually respecting those boundaries that I set for myself, and letting people know that I need to be able to do things to better myself. And once I do that, I can definitely be a better person to be able to help you. And I just really think it has helped me since I've, set those boundaries, establish healthier relationships, because sometimes, people are like, oh, I know Dee will do it, so let me go to her, but, letting people know it's like, I don't right now have the bandwidth or the space to be able to do that, but I would love to maybe help you in the future, so, just capturing in that aspect, I think has helped me. So I think boundaries is absolutely the biggest habit that I have established for myself to be able to keep me moving forward.
Oh, I love that. And boundaries for everybody are so personal because you know what sets you over the limit in what context. Like some people really, as we well know, really feed off being around lots of people. Some people need to limit their time around lots of people. So boundaries are very, very personally. But when we come back to what the point of your life is, Dee, the self-discovery aspect,
Absolutely.
we need to allow time and space and capacity for that for you. That's wonderful. And then just stretching this kind of boundaries and creating more time for self-discovery. How would you say that you, Dee, avoid negative experiences like burnout for you personally?
You know, I'm not going to say that I've mastered this, but it's definitely a work in progress. And it took me, I think, such a long time to realize that sometimes, this is a cliche. You need to just stop and smell the roses, right? So just really implementing breaks for myself, because there's some days, working from home, you can feel like you can conquer the world all the time, so just really doing sometimes just small things like taking walks with my dogs. My husband got off work early yesterday, so we actually got to walk the dogs as a family. It's nothing like, the little small things, getting my weekly, mani pedis massage, meditation, and even just eating healthy, just changing things up, but really just establishing those breaks in my life to just sometimes take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Wow. Yeah. And Dee, nothing is ever the big things, is it? It's always the small things. I'm talking
Absolutely.
whether you're building a business, looking after yourself, children, etc. It's always the small things that build up. So I love hearing that, the dogs, the breaks, the mani-pedi, the time away. I'm really, really glad that you said that, because there's no one big thing, is there? So really, really honest. Thank you. And then Dee, looking at the bigger picture, and I know this is something that we talk about quite a lot for what we're doing, but what would you say success is to you?
Oh, how many times have we asked our clients that question, right? And you never really
Yeah.
think about it for yourself. So, I've never been that person to really just focus on, I think, the word success. I just let it come, but for me, I think, fulfillment of those personal goals that I've set for myself. We talked about, my time in the military. Not at any time that I say, I am going to be the senior enlisted female serving in the United States Navy. That wasn't a goal. It was an opportunity that happened that I embraced it and I ran with it. So that for me was a success. But I think the reason it was like a success for me is because that allowed me the opportunity to positively impact the lives of other people, whether that was professional or personal. When you're in such a senior position, you like get entwined in everybody's lives, because they come to you if they trust you. I'm having a family issue, or I'm really bummed out that I didn't get promoted. So you get the opportunity to work with so many people on things that are personal for them, their goals. So for me, success is helping other people achieve their goals and their dreams.
And Dee, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Oh, seeing people succeed. I mean, it's just you can't even describe it. And we were talking about strength. When I got my top five, uh, significance is in my top five. Is my number four strength, and I had a hard time with that strength. And I was like, oh, this is so not me. I can't see myself. But when I started talking to other people, and they said, that is so you, because you're the type of person who positions yourself, you know, with things or people to really have more influence so you can help others. And I never thought about it like that. So, hearing how other people saw me, that was such a warm feeling, and I mean, it was like, okay, I understand it now. So it's like embracing that strength. So now I try and use it a lot as much as I can in my everyday life. It's like, okay, what are some of the things that I can do or opportunities that I can be a part of that will help other people be successful. So that's the way I really try and look at that.
Dee, it's wonderful to hear this, but it's even more wonderful to know you and know that is how you're wired up. So that's just wonderful. Um, and then looking at the bigger picture, and I know none of us have got a crystal ball, but what would you say in 5 years' time the future looks like for people?
Oh wow. Um, I think that's a very broad question, because everybody's so different. You have one client, they have these aspirations. You have another client who have completely different aspirations. So yeah, I think that's a broad question. But if I look at myself, 5 years from now, I see myself, one, I have completed my PhD, so I will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, Dr. Dee Allen. And then I really want to do a lot of work in my local community. I really want to start giving back. I since I was in the military for so long, lived all over the world. I traveled to so many places. Now I feel like I have the opportunity. I have established roots, and I want to really focus on giving back to my community. So if I can bring along other people to support that, that's what I see the future looking like. Let's support our communities even more than we are doing today.
Wow. Wow, Dee. Um, and then looking at the other end of the spectrum, when you do get knocked about by life and people and, things don't go your way and life does exacerbate you, Dee, what is it that keeps you going?
Oh, that's easy. My family. Absolutely, without a doubt. My family is the most important thing to me. They're my foundation. They give me love, support, understanding, and I don't care what kind of mood I'm in or, whatever. I know that I can always lean on my family, and they're my safe haven. So, I'm so thankful. I always say my husband is my biggest cheerleader, love him to death, and my two fur babies, as they're at my door right now looking in, it's like, Mommy, let me in. But yeah, I think family is so important. And like I said, they are the foundation of everything that you are. So without my family, sometimes I was like, I know I would not be where I am if I didn't have that love and support from my family.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Dee. And I know you and I develop people in these a lot, and we talk to teams about their values a lot. But Dee Allen, what would you say are the three values that you live by?
Um, Absolutely, honesty and integrity. Again, trust means everything to me when I'm, having trying to build that relationship with someone. So, being transparent, honesty, and integrity, and that's my military background coming out just a little bit. I think those are just important values that anybody needs to have to maintain a healthy relationship, whether that's personal or professional. It's about self respect. If you don't have that, I think that's very challenging. Um, I think another one for me is really like personal growth. I am that type of person. I believe in continuous learning. I think that's important for anybody. It's about seeking opportunity, self improvement. And I think that's why I have been successful in the things that I have put my mind out to do, because I know there's always room for improvement. I know people hate the word change, so I always try and use the word improvement by change, because I think people can embrace that a little bit more. So I think honesty, integrity, and personal growth and learning. Um, and then if I had to add on, a couple of other things, I would think about really compassion and maybe a little bit of empathy. I think we don't have enough of that in the world today. Caring for others, I think that is so important, as well as when we're talking about building relationships. But I think, those are going to be some of the things that's going to move society forward, is having more compassion and empathy for other people.
Wow, those are fantastic values, and I know your integrity. I know, and have lived and breathed your trust, and I'm grateful for that. But I love also hearing that self-respect is in there as part of that. That was really powerful for you to put in. And then, how would you say? Go on. Sorry. What were you going to say?
No, that was it. I was like, oh, thank you, Danny.
Yeah, that's really, really, really powerful. And how would in self-discovery, Dee, when we're looking at the point of your life in terms of, yes, self-discovery, I love that. How would you say that those values keep you focused on that self-discovery?
I think just, staying true to myself, both in my actions and my interactions with other people. Continuing to motivate others, as well as motivate myself. And like I said, I think that the continuous learning piece, really ties into that self discovery. I try and learn something new every day. That's my goal. It's like, what can I learn new today? And I think that is so important. A lot of people focus on, you know, how can I advance myself, or, how can I earn more money? For me, it's about learning. I love learning. I love exploring. So, my focus on the day is, what can I learn new today? And whether I learn that by reading, listening to a podcast, talking to friends, or, sometimes, a lot of times from clients, just having those type of engagements with other people definitely is a way for me to continue my learning, not just about coaching, but life in general. I think that's important. A lot of times we get so wrapped up into our work, we forget about the other things that's important to us, friends and family and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Dee, that's so true. So very, very, very true that we can get caught up in achieving and forget the important people around us, and indeed that relationship with ourselves, where we started, as you said, often, as coaches, we ask these questions, but we don't ask them of ourselves. So this has been a really honest and beautiful conversation, and I think very, very insightful and impactful, Dee, as ever with you. But before we bring it into land, is there anything that you'd like to add or say?
Well, I want to say thank you, Dani, for having me on as a guest on your podcast. I'm very, very honored, and I am so happy that you are a friend. And I want to say, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Come on, I want to be like you. You're a phenomenal woman. But no, but thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for joining me through this journey through life too. Thank you. And before we bring it into land, just raising Dee up as a great woman. Any of my friends or contacts across the pond that are listening to this, please do reach out to Dee for everything essentially, but leadership, strength, executive coaching. Is there anything else, Dee, that you would like people to reach out to you for? Because I of course, always, I'd love to support you.
Absolutely. Like you just said, any type of executive or leadership coaching, I do one-on-one, I do groups, and I do teams, but I also do facilitation. If you have, if your organization has a specific topic, I talked earlier about resiliency, I do those type of organizational trainings as well. So would love to be able to lend my experiences to any organization out there who may be in need.
Well, I can raise you up as saying that any organization or person to encounter you, Dee, will be better for it, much better for it.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dee. Thank you for being part of my podcast, part of my life. And this has been another episode of What's the Point? Thank you, audience, for joining us.